Nation's loss is our game here in Pittsburgh. I was sitting on the phone today. Not sitting on the phone, but I was on hold. You okay here?
Yes.
Yes.
Another piece of cake?
No.
Could I get some water?
Sure.
Could you give it to
Ice
me?
Me
water?
too.
Yeah, that'd
I'd
be
like
great.
one.
Thanks.
Celebrities here at his place, you know. Anyway, I was on the phone on hold, and I knew that I was going to come talk to you here at the diner, and I was thinking, bliss. Now, this is obviously something that if you're in the Christian ministry, especially in the arts, in music, you've got to think sometimes, was this God ordained that my name is Bliss and I'm just, and then I said, well, what are you doing? And I looked it up in Webster's dictionary, and it says, bliss is ecstasy, perfect happiness. And so I just wondered, now that you're married and you're two blisses, is that right? Has it been ecstasy and perfect happiness for you?
No. I don't think anything is perfect down here, but we love each other. We have had high points in our life, that kind of thing.
What I know about you, I know Renee. I knew you. Didn't know you, but I saw you on the Unguarded tour with Amy Grant, backup singer, right? And then I saw you at Kennywood singing, and I've seen you a couple different concerts. Tell me how you met this guy who you were a drummer with Jeff Moore. Is that? That's not your identifying personhood thing, but that's what I know about you.
That's all of who I am.
And now you're her husband.
Yeah. I definitely have gotten the Cary Grant thing going a couple of times, but no.
Lang Bliss.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang Bliss.
Well, actually, we were married before I was playing for Jeff or playing for anybody, actually.
Really?
So.
Well, tell me the love story. How did it happen?
We have a mutual friend that lives in Nashville. He's still real good friends of ours. He road manages for a bunch of different bands, or he did White Heart and several different groups. And well, I used to sing with him when I lived in Colorado, and they knew each other. They weren't in the same group together, but Lang was moving to town. I was having lunch with Mike, and literally the day he pulled in, I met him. And so,
Yeehaw!
yeah, we've been together, it wasn't love at first sight. It was about a month and a half.
He looks like he's
Love it. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. So now you've been making beautiful music together. This obviously is a project. I see both of your pictures on this BlissBliss. When did this come about? How did this happen?
Well,
Go ahead.
okay, I'll do it.
We're kind of like a two-headed monster. We sort of finish each other's sentences and start each other's sentences, kind of like we can almost, carry on for each other. Go ahead.
It was when, I was out playing for different people. After I was with Jeff, I played for, Rick Kua, Margaret Becker, went out with First Call, opening on the Amy Grant Summer Fun Tour, and who else? Just a bunch of different artists. And Renee was doing her solo thing and going out on the weekends, and we were doing this crisscross thing, because I'd come back and then she'd leave and then she'd come back and I'd leave.
Yeah, it was hard.
It was nuts, and we did that for about a year and a half, and we were going, and this was when we were first married, and we were thinking, long range, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And at the same time, when she started doing her records, we began realizing that both of us really wanted to develop in our writing skills, and we began to, find out that we had some vision, some common visions to accomplish certain things. And I think we began kind of talking about it and praying about it and meeting with our pastor at the time, and just different folks, and going, we want to do this thing together, and it involved
Some major sacrifices to do that.
Yeah, and basically we just it's at one point in time just felt God going, you've heard me right, go for it, And so it was kind of that huge, big leap of faith and out into the wild blue yonder. And so we decided that we would try to make an effort together. And it wasn't, to be really honest, met with hugely open arms.
From the community, from
from the
radio
the
station?
industry,
Music industry, yeah.
music industry.
Oh, I think
because-
it's wonderful.
Well, I think. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'll play it on my
that's
I'll play it in my newspaper. You know.
I think everybody was kind of like when you begin to get into money issues and people making a living, then there's kind of like, hey, if it ain't fixed, don't broke it. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I guess that would be the better way to say it. And so.
Renee, when you were off powdering your nose, your husband and I were talking a little bit about disappointments personally. The fact that you're here because Creation was canceled, it opened up the doors for you, and I just wonder more on maybe a philosophical, spiritual level, if you have any ways that you deal with disappointments. Like, I guess that must have been discouraging to not have people say this is going to go to the top of the charts or something, or am I right?
Well, you think that you're going to know how to deal with disappointment, and I'm sad to say that I'm not very good at dealing with it most of the time.
Who wants to become an expert in that?
But I am learning that I really don't have any control over events, time, circumstances. And I joked with him when he came in and said, hey, Creation is canceled. I was like, is it because we're coming? Because we've gone through, nobody really knows us personally, and it would take a long time to go into great detail, but we've really known a lot of personal disappointments over the last 5 years. It just seems that we've been in a season of just things, it seems like it's twice as hard for things to happen than it has been in the past, and I don't really know why that is. I just believe that this is a time where disappointment is being used to get at some character development that maybe wouldn't happen under normal circumstances.
You mean you're not finger pointing and blaming? It's your fault, it's your fault?
There was a season when I did that.
Okay, but you came out of that season, and how did you do that? Because that's natural. Look at David in the Psalms. Oh, Lord, all these terrible people, those evil people, would you please kill them for me?
I think that the thing that's anybody has a hard time with at the end of the day with disappointment. And you look through the Old Testament at Job. Now we don't know how long that thing lasted.
That's right. Yeah.
But anybody can almost kind of quote unquote pull themselves up by their emotional bootstraps for a certain period of time if they know when it's going to be over. Mm-hmm. But the real test comes when you go out, you're out on the ocean and you don't see dry land. That's when the real test of faith comes in, and that's what it's been for us, because God has not allowed an end to come. And so all that to say, the finger pointing is pointless.
It really is.
It like gets to the point where, if you think, man, I can fix something by pointing the finger, then you go, all right, I'm going to accomplish something. Mm-hmm. But when it goes on, and you realize there's nothing that's going to come from it, then you just go, okay, you're it. You're the one.
It's interesting. When you mentioned Job, we don't know the time, and I think about, Moses and 40 years in the desert. Yeah. Every time I think, I've been through a dry spell, and I'm coming into an oasis of sorts, and I feel like there's fruit growing and things, and I see it. I get back in the desert. It's like I just went through an oasis, and
Right.
Is God going to use me to do some spectacular feat like Moses? And I have to hope that maybe He is preparing. He's chipping away the nasty stuff. And I don't know what it is going to be. I know what I would love for it to be. I want to just produce spiritual fruit and have my babies do the same thing too. Yeah. What is it with you? Where does your hope lie?
Well,
what do you want to accomplish?
Well, I feel like we've invested too much to turn back. And my hope is that through all of the emotion that comes with going through hard times that people have, that on the other side of that is a God that stands there, loves, and understands what it feels like to go through grief or disappointment, whatever it is. And that's there is no other thing other than that to put your hope in. I can't put it in myself, because I can be a mess on my own, but I can put it in God and know that He's going to finish what He started.
You know, in our field of, you know, with me it's a newspaper, and with you it's the music, and sometimes you see like something you've done. You've heard a song from that one tape that Jeff had you autograph. Doesn't that somehow give you encouragement that perhaps there's still people listening to this and still encouraging them that the words that you wrote and that you sang touched hearts? Does it in any way, or does it affirm the direction that you're
Yeah,
going?
it affirms it, but it also makes me feel like, I mean, I think the thing I'm amazed with is that God would want to use me with all of my flaws. Because 90% of the time, to be honest with you, and I know Lang shares this feeling, when we're up there singing it, I feel like I don't have anything to say really, but all I can really share is from my own experience, and I know that what I go through in my life and what he goes through in his life, everybody on this planet goes through. And hopefully in sharing that, they can go, okay, somebody does know how I feel. I mean, I know how I feel when someone says, you know, I've walked down that road and I know what it feels like. I find comfort in knowing I'm not the only one. So yeah, we're encouraged. It does encourage us. It goes, okay, we're not lunatics and we're not nuts. There are people out there that for a season of time or maybe for a long time that really are maybe encouraged to hang in there when the times get tough, you know, and if we can help them do that, then great.
You know, I know you just had a baby, right?
Yeah.
And as you talk, I just think about the fact that if things were just, if you were always on top of the world, how would you teach that baby to deal with, you know, coming from Nashville or Fort Wayne or wherever you're from, you know, we got the peaks and the valleys. How has having that baby changed your perspective, has it?
It's taken the focus off myself. I mean, you kind of forced to not think about yourself so much, and that's a good thing. And that's probably for me been one of the things that, I mean, there's many aspects of being a mom that I love, but I don't have to think about myself all the time, and that's refreshing. Yeah. I think we have a tendency to be real turned inward, you know, and look at me, help me, I need help, you know, me, and that kind of forces you to go, okay, I don't have to think about myself 24 hours a day, you know.
Well, that's another one of those universal experiences for women, for babies anyway, that you know, for that time, you're the only, that person's, you know, that developing person is depending on you exclusively, and what a feeling that is to know that you're responsible for another human being, and you know, did it change you at all, Lang, to look down and see, what's his name, Zane?
Zane.
That's a great name.
Well, thanks.
I think that it was so much bigger than I expected. It was a much...
Well-found baby?
The kid himself, no, not the child, the experience. No, I think it was just a huge experience. I mean, it was just one of those lifetime events, and it's so big that you're like, I was overwhelmed with. I couldn't put it all into something that I could really understand. I still can't. I mean, I look at him and he smiles at me, and that like really makes me happy. And I'm going, I am easily amused, you know, because I'm going, I don't get that, but that just like does something for me to see him smile, you know, and I'm going, wow, man, I've you know, things have changed.
What do you think the Blisses want to be doing when he's like 5 years old? He's what, 1? No, you just had him.
He's 5 months.
He's
5
5
months.
months.
Yeah,
Okay.
so January.
So what direction are you going to go?
With him, with life,
life.
with music.
With all of life. With BlissBliss.
We know what we'd like to do. I mean, we would love to continue, you know. This album for us, I think, was a real proving point to us, even ourselves. Can we really make this thing work? We kept telling ourselves that. We kept telling everybody that, but nobody really saw it, and they didn't really believe it. And this was a beginning point, and it even has made a statement to us that, yes, we were not total idiots for jumping away from what was working, which was his career as a musician and mine as a singer. This proved to us, no, we really did. We can make something together that's really cool, and we like it. And so hopefully 5 years from now we'll be continuing that and moving in that direction, and we'll have a son who's going to be really, he's going to be a road dog, basically. You know.
Do you collaborate at all when you write?
Oh, yeah.
And then you got a project now going on?
We're just,
We're writing for the next record.
Yeah.
But we're writers with BMG, so we write for other artists and write.
Is there
try to
any
write.
particular thing, not for other artists because you're probably restricted, but is there anything like really burning in your heart that you feel like you have to say, whether it's commercial or not, whether it's going to sell or not? Is there anything like that you just want to get out musically or in any other way?
well,
For me, I think that, to be really honest, we had a friend tell us about the lyrics. They said, I think God's going to make you live those out. I think He's going to make you.
and we're like going, no,
No, that's not fair.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, some of these songs we wrote kind of not as a clever twist of a phrase or something like that.
For
but
example?
Fight for Peace.
Okay.
The first single off the record
Yeah.
it basically deals with going through life, and when disappointments come and when they don't come, that you literally have to fight for peace in your life.
And that seems like a weird concept, but peace is not something that just kind of hits you in the face, or you just kind of reach out and grab it. It's something that you have to
You have to fight for
You have
it.
to put it in
Yes,
there
you do.
every day.
Oh, that's
you know,
a wonderful
every moment.
concept.
And so